Your primetime destination, news, newsmakers, talking points. The big talking point tonight, India's moonwalk has begun and we'll be celebrating ISRO and Chandrayaan once again. Is India now truly a space superpower? Also, my newsmaker tonight, a young man is joining me from Baku. Chess hero Praggnanandhaa will be joining me. He's lost the finals, but boy, he's become a real chess master. We'll tell you more about his story. But first, as always, the 9 headlines at 9. Hours after Chandrayaan's lander Vikram touches down on the moon, Rover Pragyan takes a walk on the lunar surface. ISRO says all activities are on schedule. A credit war of sorts erupts over Chandrayaan-3. Congress calls ISRO's success Nehru's vision. BJP hits back, claims Prime Minister Modi led the space success. Congress leader and former Union Minister Mani Shankar Iyer strokes controversy, slams former Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao, calls him the BJP's first Prime Minister. Alia Bhatt and Kriti Sanon win national awards for Best Actors for Gangubai and Mimi. Allu Arjun wins Best Actor for Pushpa the Rise. Kashmir Files wins Best Film on National Integration. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin slams the choice. Monsoon wreaks havoc in Himachal's Kulu. 7 multi-story buildings crash as landslide hits the hill station. Amidst the standoff in Ladakh, Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping meet at the BRICS summit in Johannesburg. Prime Minister reportedly highlights LAC issues, calls for peace and tranquility. Heartbreak for India's chess prodigy Praggnanandhaa loses in the Chess World Cup final against 5-time world champion Magnus Carlsen. And Infosys takes tennis icon Rafael Nadal on board as a brand ambassador. Rafael says, looking forward to a beautiful partnership. And Wagner mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin reportedly dead in a jet crash near Moscow. His death mystery continues. US President Joe Biden points a finger at Putin. Okay, let's turn to the breaking news at this moment. Amidst the standoff in Ladakh, along the line of actual control, Prime Minister Modi and the Chinese Premier Xi Jinping have met at the BRICS summit. The Prime Minister has reportedly highlighted the issues along the border with Xi Jinping. The Prime Minister's called for peace and tranquility. That meeting taking place during the BRICS summit that's taking place in South Africa. The two leaders were there next to each other and reportedly exchanged views. The Prime Minister highlighting those LAC issues with Xi Jinping. Geeta Mohan, our diplomatic editor, joins me with the very latest. Geeta, can you tell us what exactly has happened during the meeting, which comes just a fortnight before the big other one at the G20?
Well, Rajdeep, that's right. An informal conversation on the sidelines of the BRICS summit took place between India and China. A very brief conversation from what we gathered from the Foreign Secretary's briefing, where he said that the Prime Minister of India raised concerns and highlighted India's concerns regarding the situation at the LAC in the western sector of the India-China border. And certainly it is a matter of concern for India, but also one where everybody was looking at whether if the two leaders are going to speak ahead of the G20 summit. Rajdeep, most of the experts have been saying that while there have been innumerable rounds of talks, whether it's military level or diplomatic level, at the end of the day, it requires leadership intervention. While there has been a conversation, it was not a structured dialogue like the Indian side had with Mozambique, Ethiopia, Senegal, and Iran. It was an informal, on the sidelines, a brief conversation that the two leaders had. Will it really translate into disengagement, complete disengagement ahead of the G20? We'll have to wait and see. For now, it seems like there is some movement. There was one in Bali as well, but it was on similar lines, just on the sidelines, a brief pull aside or an informal conversation.
Okay. At the moment, it appears no complete breakdown, but certainly no breakthrough either. Geeta Mohan joining me there. Thanks very much. Let's turn from what's happened at BRICS to what's happening on the moon. That's right, Chandrayaan-3 rover Pragyan now literally walking on the moon. After India became the first country to land on the moon's south pole, the entire world is praising the Indian Space Research Organization. I want to start today by telling you this story for ISRO, because this is a story of our times, an institution that's been built by our space scientists with support at various times from government that have overcome huge odds to achieve what they have. So we start our show with India's space journey so far, and then I'll be joined by a very special guest. Take a look.
India's first rocket was taken to the launch site on a bullock cart. It was launched from Thumba in 1963 by the Indian National Committee for Space Research, or INCOSPAR, established by Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and scientist Vikram Sarabhai a year ago. The Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launch Station was later named the Vikram Sarabhai Space Centre. The Indian Space Research Organization came into existence in 1969 with the renaming of INCOSPAR by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. India's first satellite Aryabhat was launched in 1975 by the Russian Cosmos 3M rocket from their Kapustin Yar launch base. In the years that followed, ISRO started developing its own launch vehicles. After initial setbacks, an indigenous satellite vehicle was launched from the Sriharikota range in Andhra Pradesh in 1980 under the supervision of Satish Dhawan and APJ Abdul Kalam. Over the next few decades, ISRO developed polar satellite launch vehicles and then the GSLV. The GSLV used cryogenic engines developed indigenously, a major achievement as the technology was denied to India by the US. Over the same period, ISRO also launched the INSAT series of satellites that revolutionized broadcasting, telecommunication and weather forecast. The stage by then was set for bigger things. In 2003, Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, in his Independence Day speech, announced a lunar mission.
विज्ञान के क्षेत्र में भारत एक ऊंची उड़ान लेने के लिए तैयार है। मुझे ये बताने में बड़ी खुशी हो रही है कि भारत चंद्रमा पर अपना अंतरिक्ष यान भेजेगा। इसका नाम होगा चंद्रयान प्रथम।
In October 2008, Chandrayaan-1 took off from the Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Sriharikota. The lunar project discovered a large number of water molecules in Moon. In 2013, Mangalyaan, the Mars orbiter mission, took off and entered the planet's orbit a year later.
Here we have a majestic liftoff of LTM-3 M4 rocket carrying
Chandrayaan-3 heralds a new dawn. India has become the first country to touch down on the south pole of Moon.
जी हाँ, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम
From manned space missions to solar probe missions, ISRO has big projects in the pipeline. India is rising as a space power. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, I'm going to turn right at the start to someone who comes from a family that has done much for space research, particularly her father, Dr. Mallika Sarabhai, daughter of India's space pioneer, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. The lander was named after him. Appreciate your joining us, Mallika Sarabhai. I'm going to play pictures of your father, some black and white pictures when it all started in the 50s and 60s. But give us your sense of what today would mean to your late father. What would it mean for him to know that India had landed a lander on the moon?
I think Papa would have gone around thumping every single scientist on their backs and with a twinkle in his eye and already seeing what's coming up next over the next 50 years. And I think he would have felt justifiably right in trusting and putting his trust in all these young people who have spent decades. I mean, think of it, it's 50 years. Think of the number of scientists who have gone through this with the vision and the faith that Papa had. And I think he would have been over the moon.
You know, I'm playing pictures with of your father with Jawaharlal Nehru, and unfortunately, we live in a time where you know, the world gets politically polarized. You show Jawaharlal Nehru and his contribution to space research, and people will say, "Oh, you know, you're promoting Nehruvian and Nehru and the Congress." But the truth is that your father, Jawaharlal Nehru, Homi Bhabha, a constellation of scientists came up in that 50s and 60s generation who actually actively contributed, Satish Dhawan, to this building of the space research program. Give us, our viewers, a sense of the kind of person that Dr. Vikram Sarabhai was.
I think Papa believed that the kind of commitment and passion that he had for building a nation and of bringing the latest in science and technology to answer some of the most primary development issues, he believed that everybody had the same zeal. So he went into a meeting thinking everybody was with him, and seeing his incredibly infectious style, even people who were not with him by the end of the meeting were with him. And I think with both Panditji and Indiraji, they had such complete trust that neither Homi Bhabha nor Papa had a hidden agenda, which is very difficult today because everybody has agendas and everybody is suspicious. But I think Panditji genuinely believed that these two young men wanted to do something for the country, build the nation, and was willing to listen to them and then back them. And Panditji, of course, has been quoted as saying that science is the thing to go for tomorrow and not anything else. And all the other institutions that he engendered, whether it's the IITs, the AIIMS, or many of these institutions which have a scientific basis, prove this. And I think the lack of suspicion, the lack of having a personal hidden agenda of self-aggrandizement, I think went a long way in making yesterday possible.
You know, your father and you know, the Sarabhais were a very prominent industrialist group, and yet he chose the path of science. He and Dr. Homi Bhabha, who also came from an affluent family, they were the original, as the tele-series on Sony says, the Rocket Boys. Was this an obsession with your father, rocket science, from a very young age? I saw a letter this morning that Rabindranath Tagore wrote recommending your father to Cambridge University to study science. But were these space pioneers obsessed about going up and taking India into the space era, despite all the limited resources that they had?
I think Papa was fascinated by the possibilities of space science. But if there was one obsession, it was to build a nation, and to build a nation where the last person got justice and dignity. I think that really was the passion. Science was the path he chose, like my mother chose the arts. But I think the passion was to actually be part of building a new India that took its part in the universality of countries, and that could say, we did it, we stood on our own feet, and we have the vision to be able to say, we won't take one step at a time like the tortoise, we will leapfrog into the future. And I think that was his passion. I think that was Homi's passion as well.
And that of Satish Dhawan. So these were institutional builders in the truest sense. One final word. You know, do you in that sense believe that your father would be proud, no doubt, about the scientists of today? Was science for him part of just also giving the younger generation something to dream about? These were great dreamers, not just institution builders, but dreamers who dreamt big. The Thumba station among others were, you know, carved out of dreams that these pioneers built. So what would your father tell young India today? If he was around, what would he tell young India?
I think he would tell young India that this is about changing lives, about transforming lives. It's not about GDP. It's not about getting the patronage of X, Y, or Z, government included. And he would infuse in each person the passion to make a difference to this country. I think that was Papa's magic. And I think he would have done it today. You talked about rocket boys, just rocket boys. And scientists have issues with that, and people have issues with that. That's fine. But Rocket Boys itself has ignited so many young minds into thinking that you don't have to be a crook to be a celebrity. And I think those kind of icons are crucial to India today, because we are becoming a cynical and hate-filled society. And this kind of giving and celebrating the giving is really what is very important today.
Let's leave it at that. These are the icons of modern India, the builders of modern India. I thought we should start with a special tribute, therefore, to Vikram Sarabhai. Malika Sarabhai, for sharing some of your memories of your father, Papa, as you call him. We owe a huge debt to the likes of Vikram Sarabhai and what they did for space research in this country.
Thank you.
We've gone from the past, let's come to the present, because Chandrayaan 3 is on the moon. Pragyan Rover has exited the Vikram lander and is now taking that big walk on the lunar surface. What's more, Chandrayaan has already started beaming back stunning images of the moon. And what can we say? We're all moonstruck. Take a look.
India does the moonwalk. Hours after Chandrayaan's 3-lander module Vikram touched down on the lunar surface at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, the moon rover Pragyan rolled out of Vikram on Thursday. ISRO confirmed the breakthrough, saying India took a walk on the moon. The Pragyan rover is the first of its kind to be deployed to the moon's south pole. Over the next 14 Earth days, which equals 1 lunar day, Pragyan will cover moon's surface as low as 1 centimeter per second. It is equipped with a variety of instruments, including a camera, a spectrometer and a magnetometer. The rover will conduct experiments to study the moon's surface, including its composition, mineralogy and history. It will be powered by solar panels and will communicate with the Chandrayaan 3 orbiter.
The sun set at the end of the 14th day, we will have night falling in and the temperature will drop very drastically for the next 14 days. And once after the 14 days, most of the liquid inside, like the propellants would have frozen, some of the electronics would have got damaged, the battery also would have gone dead. So all these are possible. But the contrary is also equally possible. So we will wait for that remaining 14 days, like at the end of 28th day when the sun comes up, maybe a few days later, we will again check whether it is in good condition.
Before images of Pragyan emerged, ISRO had released picture of the lander Vikram on the moon, the photograph. The image from the landing imager camera shows a glimpse of the landing site, including a portion of the spacecraft's landing leg and its shadow. These 4 images were the first set sent by the lander's horizontal velocity camera as it was nearing the surface of the moon. The successful landing of Chandrayaan 3 makes India the 4th country to soft land on the moon, after the United States, the Soviet Union and China.
लैंडर मॉड्यूल पूरी तरह से सेफली और सॉफ्टली चंद्रमा की सतह पे लैंड हो चुका है.
India aims to embark on a first mission to study the sun. Mission Aditya will launch in September. The moonwalk is only the beginning. Bureau Report, India Today.
So what are the challenges ahead of ISRO and Chandrayaan? India now truly a space superpower or not? Or is it too early to give that verdict? Joining me now are Professor Nilesh Desai, Distinguished Scientist, Director, Space Application Center, ISRO, Ahmedabad. Dr. Suresh Naik, former Group Director, ISRO. Dr. Amitabh Ghosh, NASA Mars Rover Scientist. Appreciate all of you joining us. I want to come to you, Dr. Desai, first, because you've been deeply involved with this project. The Pragyan rover is out there. We are told it will move at a speed of 1 centimeter per second for the next 14 days. Can you give our viewers a sense what exactly will the rover do during this period?
Yeah, so as most of you are now familiar with that yesterday after the soft landing of our lander, we initiated the initial operations related to putting rover onto the moon surface, and we first brought down the ramp which was part of the lander. So it touched the moon surface, and on that ramp the rover rolled down that ramp, and of course we faced some of the initial teething troubles related to the initial rover operations of rolling it down the ramp and putting it on the moon surface. But we could overcome that challenges also. And by yesterday, 12 o'clock, our rover was moving onto just rolled down to the ramp and moved onto the moon surface. And initial pictures were taken of that particular rover movement from our lander imager, which is part of the lander. And as you said, the rolling speed actually is not 1 centimeter per second, but it is 1 centimeter per minute. That is what we'll be using for its now continuous experimentation, which we want to do for next 14. In fact, actually it is 12 and a half days, because we landed on the second day after the sunrise on the moon. And generally one moon day is equal to 14 Earth days. So considering that we have now 12 and a half days of experimentation left before the night sets in on moon, which is the some frightening part, because at night temperature on moon goes up to as low as -120 to -150 degrees centigrade. And that will incapacitate some of the electronic circuitry. So what we'll do is that we'll switch off the rover after these 12 and a half days of experimentation, and after 14 days of night, we'll again try to revive.
Fascinating listening to that. 1 centimeter a minute is what the rover moves at. Dr. Amitabh Ghosh, NASA Mars rover scientist, what are you looking forward to over the next 14 days? What's going to be exciting you? Apart from those pictures, which are just brilliant.
Right. So I just want to correct, it says ex-NASA scientist. I have mentioned it a couple of times to your team. So yes. So as you said, well, it's going to be very exciting, the 14 days. So we're just beginning. So I think marginally the chairman has mentioned route planning. So the rover now has to figure out where will it go. So probably the scientists are right now scanning interesting targets where they want to drive to. And then there will be probably rover drivers who will assess how to get there, and they will get there, and then the scientists will make some analysis, and then that will be downlinked back to Earth, and then the scientists will again look at it and see, well, what did they find, and then they might make more analysis at that location or drive to a different location. So this process will continue until 14 days.
But anything specifically that you're looking at that you are excited about?
Yes. See, obviously everybody is trying to look at hints of water. So analysis of the regolith. Regolith is the top layer of the soil. See, on Mars, you get water below the regolith as well. So the Chinese rover and our latest Mars Perseverance is looking for that. So that is interesting. And then, of course, I don't know how far they're from the ice deposits, from a crater. And, the time is a little short, so I don't know whether there's time to go to the crater. And the other thing that you have to understand, I don't know what the range is. So, the rover communicates with the lander, so it kind of has to be in contact with the lander. So how far can it go without being out of range? But the ice deposits are very, very critical. And that is what the entire community wants to know, as to whether it is ice one. See, that is what we verified with Mars Phoenix. Just because you have to make sure by measuring the composition, it is really
right.
H2O. And then what is the temperature of the ice? That's if you're trying to extract ice, melt that ice, there is a heat equation involved there. So is it feasible to melt the ice? So these are the type of questions that
these are of course questions for the future. Dr. Suresh Naik, former Group Director, ISRO, what are you looking forward to in the next 14 days?
Yeah, actually, first I would like to explain what is the moon crust formed of. You see, the moon crust, which is a loose soil, is formed of 3 different things coming from 3 different sources. One is there is a lot of bombardment of the celestial objects like comets and meteoroids, etc., continuously happening on the moon, and since there is no atmosphere, they happen at a very large speed. And that is one thing. which has been crushing the rocks there since last millions of years, and this small powder of the rocks is there on the moon soil. Second thing, volcanic activity, when it takes place, the volcanic ash gets thrown out and deposits in the moon soil. And third thing, when the big objects, celestial objects, they impact on the moon, then big craters are formed and the inside material is thrown about outside, and that also is mixed with the moon soil. So what we are trying to do by means of a rover is try to analyze the soil. The advantage which we have got is remote sensing. We don't have to dig up. We don't have to have an arm to dig up like Russian Luna had provided. We have to do it only from remote sensing. And there are two ways of doing it. One is the alpha particle X-ray spectrometer. Second is laser-based spectrometer. Okay, alpha particle X-ray, it throws the light, throws the thing on this soil, and when the X-ray gets reflected, rover picks it up, and that tells what the composition. Second thing is when the laser-based array is going there, then that burns up the materials on the surface, and the plasma is created, and plasma also creates light, and that falls back on the rover, and that is really interpreted into by means of the wavelength into what materials they have. So by means of this, we will know the composition. Second one is the laser-based one, I already told you, and the difference between laser-based and the alpha particle X-ray based instruments are laser-based instrument can go deep inside the soil of the moon, whereas the alpha particle X-ray will be doing the surface soil analysis. So this is the basic difference. And what the exciting things people are expecting a rover to find out is whether we come out with a discovery of precious materials, minerals like gold, whether there will be helium-3, whether of course there will be aluminium, oxygen and silicon. We know that they are there. Okay. So
you're saying finding the minerals.
And of course, the rover is also going to find out the water content.
Right. So it's the water content, but finding out what are those
in the soil.
Yes, Dr. Ghosh, you wanted to come in.
Pardon?
Right. So I measured the first Martian rock with the alpha proton X-ray spectrometer, and we have it in the four of the NASA rovers. See, it's a good instrument, but it has a relatively large margin of error. So you will be able to tell, but not in that detail, and it tells chemistry, and then it doesn't tell mineralogy. So you can say these are the elements present, but not what is the structure of that element. And it does not have a sensitivity throughout the spectrum.
Right.
For that, you need something more sensitive, with like a mass spectrometer that we have it on Curiosity. So it will give you a generic idea, and I don't think it has sensitivity for water that the laser instrument has to tackle. So it's a good instrument, but it's a first cut thing. The imagery that will yield some more information, but abroad, for example, in our Mars Pathfinder mission, one of the very big discoveries was, we assumed that the Mars was made up of basalt, the rock type of basalt, but we found from the first few analysis that it's a rock type called andesite, basalt, a volcanic rock type. This is all based on the alpha proton X-ray spectrometer silicon content. But the silicon content also has a margin of error, plus minus 2% maybe.
Okay. I want to come to you, Dr. Desai, once again. ISRO planning manned missions, solar probe missions, possibly a mission that will bring back samples from Moon or even Mars. Will that experience gained from probing the Moon's south pole now prove valuable in preparing for future endeavors? Is this just the beginning in that sense, Dr. Desai?
Yeah, so as you rightly said, next consequences of such landing mission is how to bring back something that is either a rock or a soils from the surface of the moon or in future from Mars. But right now we have not, we have just thought about that, but we have not planned any mission related to that. So, but this mission will be going in a long way in helping us understand. Since we have already landed on moon, so now we are aware of the technological challenges involved and how we can optimize now. Even though everything went very smoothly and we went dead on the spot where we have envisaged to land without any deviation. So that was another big achievement. So with this achievement in our pocket, we can now finalize the future course of action as far as how to optimize this system so that we can accommodate more payloads, because whatever weight and power we can save on other system which helped us in landing on the moon surface, we can utilize the gain in that weight and power and volume into putting more and more experimental payloads onto the lander. So that is one part of the story. Now bringing some samples back to the Earth involves again reverse landing from moon, means relaunching our spacecraft or yaan from the moon back to the Earth. So that will take some time to evolve such technologies, what America or Russia has mastered while going to moon. So we have to initiate all those technologies or work on that in detail. We are right now working on various technology developments related to such exercise. So that is going on, but it will take some time, few tens of years before we can even think of bringing any material from the surface of the moon or Mars or putting man onto the moon or Mars. Because our first target is putting man in space. And all of you are well aware of that. Honorable Prime Minister has announced it on our 72nd Independence Day from Lal Killa on 15th August, that day, that India will be launching a Gaganyaan mission. And ISRO has been continuously working for that project since 2019 on this.
So given that, Dr. Naik, in conclusion, Dr. Desai just mentioned what the US is doing, what Russia is doing. They put in a lot of investment in these projects. ISRO's accomplishments come at a fraction of that cost. Do you believe, therefore, we will need now greater investment from the private sector, that space research really to take off cannot really only rely on ISRO? It will need substantial private investment. Dr. Naik?
You are asking me?
Yes, Dr. Naik.
Yeah. Well, actually, you see, yes, I think definitely these three superpowers, America, Russia and Europe, they have been investing much more money. I mean, China, they have been investing much more money in the space sector compared to India. In fact, I can give you an example. India is investing hardly 6 to 7% budget of that of NASA. And that is a shoestring budget. And that is why we try to have the missions as low cost as possible, and we have been achieving that goal. Now, basically what you are talking about, the private investment coming into this sector, so that we can also try to have the same type of achievements as these superpowers. But what I would like to say is, you see, there are two aspects of the growth in the space sector. One is these lunar and interplanetary missions is one thing, and second thing is the further developments like Gaganyaan 1, Gaganyaan 2, Gaganyaan 3. Another important thing here I want to mention is reusable rockets. Reusable rocket is a game changer. Right now, ISRO was having the lowest cost satellite launching service, but because of SpaceX and reusable first stage of SpaceX, the SpaceX cost is same now as of India, in fact slightly lower. So we have to bring down our launching cost of the rocket. That is the first thing, and already ISRO has done a lot of work and they are quite ahead in that goal. But what I am saying is this aspect of sending missions to lunar and interplanetary mission is one aspect, and ISRO would have to concentrate in that field, and the private investments won't be really put into that field. Where the private investments are required, that is the second part. The satellite launching service, there is a huge market in the world. Global market is something like 500 billion US dollars, and that market, our share presently is hardly 2%. Unless we increase our rocket launches about, let's say, 3, 4, 5 per month, we won't be able to capture more investment, and that is where the private investors and the private startup companies can contribute.
Okay,
and increase our
I'm
share
running out
in
of
the global
time.
market.
You made an interesting distinction. Dr. Ghosh, you raised your hand. I have just 30 seconds.
Right. So the moment you move from robotic spaceflight to human spaceflight, the cost goes up, I don't know, by 10 times. It's much more expensive. You require much more massive rockets to get there. So obviously the cost will go up. And the second point I wanted to make is related to the first segment. When you're talking about Vikram Sarabhai, being the first person to do it, develop capability is very lonely. And so I think that is one part of the journey that we are not appreciating. We are standing here because of these very people who worked in isolation for 10 and 20 years and 30 years. And that is because we stand where we stand today.
Okay.
But today there are loners who are still doing that. But that is how science is.
Science over the generations, of course, from the Sarabhai Bhabha generation to where we are today has come a long way. And we believe in a way today is just the start. The future could be, well, moonstruck. Thank you all very much, though, for joining me. Lots of interesting details there coming on the challenges that lie ahead. But who better to answer those challenges also than the man who is the man of the moment? Remember last night we spoke to him on the phone. Well, today my colleague Nagarjun Dwarkanath caught up with ISRO's chief S. Somanath. Listen in to him.
Hello and welcome to this special segment with the man of the moment, the ISRO chairman, Mr. Somanath. Sir, firstly, congratulations to you on behalf of India Today and the whole of the country that we are so proud as to what has happened in the last 12 hours with ISRO and its achievements. First, tell us, what is the mood in your team? How overwhelmed are you? How proud and how happy are you today?
No, they are very joyful. They are excited to see the success of their hard work happening right on moon. And all that they wanted to achieve, the nominal mission has been achieved. So they are really excited to see further work to happen now, including the science experiment that are to happen. It also involves complex processes, complex activities, and involves a lot of systems on board to work very well. So they're all looking towards that now.
Take us through the last 15 minutes. I saw the live visuals. All of you were quite relaxed. You knew what was happening. Things were under control. Take us through what you were going through in the last 15 minutes since the start of the power descent till the touchdown.
See, when such an event takes place, especially like a landing, it is like a rocket launch. Rocket launch also, hundreds and thousands of events takes place, measurements and complex functionality do happen. So it is similar to that. So we were all waiting for the things to happen as nominally planned, but excited, yes.
It's been almost 12 hours since we have done a soft landing.
Yeah.
When India slept, the rover was just coming out. When India woke up this morning, we had to see the tweet that India has taken the first steps on the moon. Tell us the next course of action. What is the Pragyan rover doing right now? How far would it go? What experiments would it carry on?
See, Pragyan rover is just on the moon now. Now we have to move it further. There are a lot of things to do, which includes path planning, traveling little more distances. Then after that, doing experiments with it. But that will take some more time, and we have to have various other conditions suitable for it, including ground visibility, the ground stations availability, and very many things have to be checked. So depending on that, further activities on rover will take place.
The data is quite crucial, is what everyone is saying. We have seen scientists from US, Europe, across the globe congratulating you and saying this is not just an achievement for India, for the humanity as well, because southern part of the moon, south pole of the moon, no one has gone, and there are evidences that there might be water hidden there.
Yeah, as told by Honorable Prime Minister yesterday, he was also specifically telling this mission is just not for India alone. It's for the whole world. so that the other people get inspired to travel to moon and then find out and explore. I think there is a renewed interest in going to the southern part of the moon, hopefully to look for more of resources, natural resources that is suitable for human beings for its colonization or further expansion or traveling beyond moon. So scientific community across the globe are very keen to see that we succeed and also bring out useful scientific results, as we did for Chandrayaan 1 and 2.
Chandrayaan 2 is still orbiting, is what we are told. How crucial it is to, are you getting the communication through Chandrayaan 2? Is it been?
No, we don't need Chandrayaan 2 for communication in the nominal course. So it is able to reach up to the ground stations directly. But in case of any communication difficulties, Chandrayaan 2 will be useful.
Sir, have you already started sharing the data with the other space agencies, or is it still yet to be done?
No, with the science part is yet to be done.
Is yet to be done. Yes. And when do we start seeing the results, sir? How soon do you think the experiments that carried out?
Well, we'll have to finish it in 14 days.
Within 14
so we
days.
don't have any more much time left.
Okay. That's fine. Sir, and also the Chinese space agencies have already taken the Chang'e 5 mission, took soil and came back. Maybe next few decades or years, are we also looking at something like that? And also the Artemis is in this decade, scheduled in this decade as well, when people would go back to the moon. How do you see that ISRO can give some contribution to these projects as well?
See, there is no limit of imagination and thinking and capability that we have to have. We can do all of that. Sample return missions, sending human beings to moon and Mars, landing on Mars, all these are within our reach in terms of technological capability. But what is most important is first to establish the competency in science sector, and also the money that we need to spend is huge, so that much resources we need to gather. And then create that ecosystem within this country where the benefit of doing all of this will actually accrue to each one of them. Scientific sector, technology sector, employment, etc., etc. So based on that, decisions will be taken.
So as we come to this end of an interview, one final message to Indians. What do you have to say of what ISRO has achieved? One final message to the Indians.
So ISRO has been an inspirational organization. In the last 60 plus years, we have created what in a developed nation long back, when we thought about going to space, we created the launcher, satellite and other capabilities, including scientific capability. It is something that we must rejoice that we have achieved such a level today with a frugal budget, and it also with in a governmental system that we could do this. Now the transition is happening and so many young people are interested to work in space, and I invite all of them to come to space, contribute and expand our space sector.
Thank you so much, sir. That was the man of the moment, the man on the moon himself, Mr. Somnath, talking inspirationally about how youngsters, youth of India should take more interest in space, and for the next coming years, ISRO is really reaching greater heights. Thank you for watching India Today.
Let's turn from there in a moment to good news. Well, good news of sorts. He lost the World Cup finals, but he's done the country proud. We'll be joined on the other side by India's chess prodigy, Praggnanandhaa. Exclusive on the other side of the break. He'll join us from Baku and tell us what makes a chess prodigy. That's on the other side.
This is a big year for India because of the G20 presidency. The Prime Minister has spoken again and again over the last few weeks about making India the third largest economy in the world and to achieve economic leadership by 2047, because this is India Mission 2047, which is the broad overarching theme of the India at 100 Summit, and looking forward to seeing you in the capital on the 26th of August for the Business Today India at 100 Summit.
Air quality today. In Delhi, 89. In Mumbai, 34. In Kolkata, 56. In Bangalore, 32. In Chennai, 8. In Hyderabad, 92.
Welcome back. The last week has been dominated by news of Chandrayaan, but the fact is another son of India is rising. Our Praggnanandhaa from Chennai put on an epic fight at the age of 18 against five-time world champion Magnus Carlsen in the final of the Chess World Cup in Baku. The youngest Indian to ever play in the World Cup final, the 18-year-old has won 1 billion hearts with a magnificent display. The final didn't quite go according to script. I'll be joined by Praggnanandhaa in a moment, but first take a look at what went wrong.
An 18-year-old carrying the hopes of 1.4 billion Indians. On Thursday, Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa and Magnus Carlsen played in the tiebreakers of the Chess World Cup final. This had come about after the first two games were drawn. The final actually began on Tuesday. In the first of the two classical games, Praggnanandhaa started with white pieces, and in a rather surprising game, both opponents agreed to a short 35-move draw. In the second game on Wednesday, Praggnanandhaa was playing with black pieces. Yet again, both players agreed to a rapid draw after a conservative opening which suggested a stalemate. But on Thursday, a champion would be decided. However, the pressure of the World Cup and time problems meant Praggnanandhaa lost the first 25-minute rapid game with white pieces to Carlsen. In the second game, Carlsen's swift and solid moves ensured there was no way back for Prag. The second rapid ended in a draw and Carlsen won the World Cup for the first time. Prag may have lost, but he achieved history by becoming the third youngest player to reach the prestigious Candidates Tournament. Sports Bureau, India Today.
And joining me at the moment is our newsmaker, our hero in a way of the day, Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa. Congratulations for the remarkable feat of reaching the finals of the World Cup Chess. I know you lost, but you're still a hero for us. Give us a sense of how you're feeling today.
Yeah, thank you. I think the important thing about this tournament is to qualify to the candidates, and that I managed to do it after coming to the finals. So, yeah, I'm very happy to finish second in such a strong event.
When you went into this tournament or last night, let's look at last night, just before the tiebreaker round today. Did you get a good night's sleep? Were you sleepless thinking that could this be my big day? What was your mood like during the final against the great Magnus Carlsen?
Yeah, I got a decent sleep. Okay, I mean, I think in any format, Magnus is the best player. So I felt should be the underdog, but okay, I felt that I should also get some chances coming at some point. I got some chances in the game one, but I kind of misplayed it and allowed him a lot of counterplay, which he took advantage of. And okay, in the second game, I didn't get much chances going. So,
the fact is you've reached the finals, and that is quite remarkable for an 18-year-old. You can only go up from here. You've got the candidates final where you could become world champion if you win that. What is what is it about an 18-year-old that makes you so fearless? Everyone tells me you're the most fearless player that they've seen in many years on a chessboard. We had Vishwanathan Anand. He said it's your fighting spirit. What is it, Praggnanandhaa, that makes you, in your view, what's your biggest quality?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think resilience is one of my strength, I guess. I'm not giving up very easily. In that way, I think I've saved many lost positions and which are very crucial.
And who do you want to give credit to? You know, we've seen you with your mother, your dad has done the occasional interview, but your mother's been there rock solid with you in Baku. Is this a family? Do you rely on your mother for emotional support? Who do you give credit to for what you've achieved, which is just fantastic?
Yeah, of course, there are many people who have supported me, starting from my family, my father, my mother, my sister, and then my coaches, my sponsors, my school. I also want to thank All India Chess Federation, government, and all the fans as well for their support. And yeah, I think all of their support is very important. Not just one person, but I guess the family support is the key in this whole thing.
You know, but an 18-year-old taking on the great Magnus Carlsen, defeating world number 2 in the semi-finals. I mean, is age just a number for you? I mean, you started playing chess as what was your age? Do you remember also now at what age you started?
Yeah, around 3.5, 4, I started to learn the rules.
And
5, I started playing.
At 5, you started playing. So you're a prodigy. When people call you a prodigy, how do you feel? Do you see this as the beginning, what you've achieved just now? Is there a goal you've set yourself where you want to be 5 years from now?
Yeah, of course. I want to become the world champion. I think that's this kind of a starting way to that. And yeah, there's still a long way to go. And I'm working on my chess. And yeah, I just want to, keep getting better at chess.
We had Vishwanathan Anand Praggnanandhaa the other day in the studio, and he said that this is the golden generation. Lots of young grandmasters, all under 20. What is it? Why are you all competing with each other to make yourselves better? This is a real golden generation. Indian chess seems to have really arrived.
Yeah, let's have Ukesh, Nihal, Arjun. And there are also other players coming up who have become GMs and so on. So yeah, we have a lot of players, and we are all working hard and trying to get better. And we're also playing tournaments continuously. And so, it's definitely golden generation.
You look very serious, a serious young man on the chessboard. When you're not playing chess, how do you relax? How does Praggnanandhaa relax?
Yeah, I try to play some sport if there is one. Sometimes watch movies and try to chill with friends. Yeah, just normal stuff.
What's your favorite sport outside chess?
I like table tennis. And badminton. Also, I like to watch cricket time to time.
What is your message in conclusion to all your young fans? There are lots of young people who are tuning on, watching the live. You once again raised the popularity of chess. Lots of young people watching the live coverage. A message to youngsters watching you, following your career. What would you like to tell them?
Yeah, I think, I feel like chess is one of the sports where you don't have to play as professionals, but just even as a hobby, it is very good, and it can improve other skills as well. So I would encourage all the kids to just start playing chess. Then like spending time on TVs or video games. Chess can be a useful hobby.
And what is the best thing that you like about chess? When you're on that chessboard taking on the likes of Carlsen, what is it that makes you feel that, this is your board? Yeah. Where does that fighting spirit come from? From your parents? From where or did you always have it?
No, sometimes it is down because you sometimes lack motivation a bit or something like that. But I always try to be in a fighting spirit mode, and I think that's the key, to always fight and not really give up.
So how are you going to now? I mean, you finally got an evening off. I know there's a prize distribution you're going to in a little while, but are you going to relax or on to the next tournament?
Yeah, I'm traveling early morning from here to another tournament. It starts the next day, a day after. So, and then I'll have a few days to relax. But I think this is the tournament season, so there are tournaments tightly packed for next 2-3 months. So, and then maybe after that I can take a bit of break.
Give us a nice big smile, young man. You made the nation very proud. We've all followed you over the last few weeks, and it's been fantastic to see an 18-year-old achieve what you have. I hope you will see the glass half full, and I hope to see you as world champion in a couple of years from now. So that's the big goal, I presume, right? Becoming the world champion.
Yes.
I'm sure you will be. I'm sure you will be world champion one day. Have a great evening. Enjoy it. And thank you once again for making the country proud.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful to see all these young rising stars of Indian sport. Let me leave you tonight with the winners of the 69 National Film Awards that were announced today in Delhi. Shujit Sirkar's film Sardar Udham won the award for the best Hindi film. Alia Bhatt and Kriti Sanon have shared the title of Best Actress for their work in Gangubai and Mimi. Allu Arjun bagged the award for Best Actor and became first ever actor from Telugu cinema to win a national award for Best Actor. And the Kashmir Files won the Nargis Dutt National Integration Film Award. That has led to some controversy. Now, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin saying it's shocking that the award has been given to such a controversial film which was ignored by neutral critics, saying that the dignity of National Film Awards must not be compromised for cheap politics. Blockbuster film RRR won Best Popular Film Award for providing wholesome entertainment. Nikhil Mahajan's Marathi film Godavari won National Film Award for Best Director. Many other regional films winning prestigious titles. Clearly, the future might not necessarily be in Hindi cinema. I leave you though with that news and with the hope that maybe in this country, at least cinema, like science, can be kept out of politics. Will that ever happen? Or cinema awards? Think about it. Good night, goodbye. Jai Hind, Namaskar.
त्यांचं कोण पाहिल नको जाऊस पुण्याला थांब इथेच निळकंठांनी वाचनालयात नोकरी धरली आहे.
Our approach of one earth, one family, one future is resonating across the globe. This success belongs to all of humanity. ये दिन इस बात का प्रतीक है कि हार से सबक लेकर जीत कैसे हासिल की जाती है।
जी हाँ, आप अपने स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम लैंडर मॉड्यूल पूरी तरह से सेफली और सॉफ्टली चंद्रमा की सतह पे लैंड हो चुका है। ये हम लोगों के लिए बहुत ही गर्व की बात है।
मैं टीम चंद्रयान को, इसरो को और देश के सभी वैज्ञानिकों को जी जान से बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, जिन्होंने इस पल के लिए वर्षों तक इतना परिश्रम किया है। उत्साह, उमंग, आनंद और भावुकता से भरे इस अद्भुत पल के लिए मैं 140 करोड़ देशवासियों को भी कोटि कोटि बधाइयां देता हूं। मेरे परिवारजनों, हमारे वैज्ञानिकों के परिश्रम और प्रतिभा से भारत चंद्रमा के उस दक्षिणी ध्रुव पर पहुंचा है जहां आज तक दुनिया का कोई भी देश नहीं पहुंच सका।
And we'll be able to continue with the experiments, including the Pragyan rover coming out and then doing all the experiments. So we are looking for very, very exciting 14 days from now for Chandrayaan 3.